Mr. Friedman? Another second roll call for coming back from break. Mr. Friedman?
Here.
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Jackowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Lund? Here. Mr. Rosenblatt?
Here.
Mr. Schwartz? Here. Mr. Silver? Mr. Tiff?
Here.
Mr. Black?
Yes.
Okay, on the minutes on January 7th, the reorganization meeting, I need a motion.
I'll make it. Second.
Motion, Mr. Monk. Second by Mr. Blackman. Mr. Friedman? Any comments on the minutes? Anyone?
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Friedman?
Only the ones that I was there for.
He said only the ones that he was there.
Was that correct? Was that in Pleasanton?
You reorganization?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Greenspan? Mr. Jackowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Munn? Yes. Mr. Rosenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz? Yes. Mr. Silver? Yeah, we're here. Yes. I have one. Mr. Tiff?
Here. Excuse me. Here.
Mr. Slackman?
Yes.
The minutes for the regular meeting on January 7th. Have a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments on the minutes? Mr. Friedman?
If I was there, yes.
I have who was there. I will announce it.
You voted yes on the reorganization.
I will let you know before I have the roll call. Mr. Greenspan?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Jackowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Munn? Yes. Mr. Rosenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Silver?
Yes.
Mr. Tiff?
Yes.
Mr. Slackman?
Yes.
The minutes on January 16th, Mr. Greenspan, Mr. Silver, and Mr. Slackman must abstain and were not present at that meeting. A motion?
Making a motion.
Second.
Mr. Greenspan?
You guys gonna stay?
I abstain.
No, you were there. Mr. Friedman wasn't there.
Oh, so you just said.
That was my name.
I'm sorry. Roll call. Mr. Friedman?
Here.
Mr. Jackowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Munn? Yes. Mr. Rosenblatt? Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Tiff?
Yes.
Okay, and the minutes on January 30th. Mr. Friedman? Mr. Munn? Mr. Friedman, Mr. Munn, Mr. Rosenblatt, Mr. Silver were absent.
So then there was no quorum.
Motion?
Tom, if 5 people were missing, then there is no quorum.
Four missing. Have a second?
Second.
Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Jackowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Tiff?
Yes.
Mr. Slackman?
Yes. Any committee presentations? Mr. Monk.
Curriculum instruction went on 3:13 to 10:30. At 10:30 in the morning in the board offices, we discussed course changes, test results, and corrective actions, curriculum changes for Black History Month, Martin Luther King, Holocaust, etc. We discussed class sizes. We discussed staff reductions, especially in the non-teaching areas, due to the concerns we have about the budgets, and if we need any new materials. And we also asked about expanding the program with Ocean County for nurse services.
Thank you, Mr. Monk. Anybody else? Any other committee presentations? Seeing none, let's move on to the next item now.
Correspondence and communications. Did you want to read that letter now or later?
Oh, we can,
Yeah, you want to do it now or later?
do it now.
Okay.
Let's go ahead. The Building and Grounds Committee, what we're thinking about doing is we want to put it on the agenda or an addendum to the agenda for the athletic fields, to allow the district to advertise on those fields. The proceeds will go to fix the football field, to fix the field house, to do general maintenance for those fields, for the company called Champion Construction. So that's a big deal.
Is there anything preventing us from accepting advertisements on those fields right now?
There will be, policy.
Okay.
On the side,
Yeah.
the title,
Did they be pricing decided, or this is just to be allowed it to come to be?
I'm assuming allow the business office to proceed.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to review it. I just want to put it out there. So
All right.
it's something that we were talking about a while ago.
So you want to be voted as an addendum?
I want to put it as an event.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
Mr. Zlakin, if I may,
This is my
I think you
time.
should develop policy on what type of sign should
We
be.
can't
where
vote
they
on it
should
now because we don't have a
Oh,
policy.
we want to have that there.
Okay, so
And the cost. and
let's
everything.
develop the policy and then we'll go through the two readings.
Thank you, Tom.
Recognition of the public.
Ms. Bosky?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to start off by saying, usually when you get up here and you say something's wrong, if something improves, it says something good. So for Gus, superintendent, anyone else who made the last 2 decisions for the snow days, thank you very much. Everyone appreciated what was done. For the students and for the staff. Also like to acknowledge Mrs. Winters, that was the nicest Teacher of the Year recognition I have seen in my 27 years in this district. It was wonderful to hear all the good things about our teachers. We have many great teachers, and they were just outstanding. But my business here today is to talk about the impending budget and what happens to Lakewood during this time. So I went back into the files of Lakewood, right back to 1998, and I would like to read you some quotes. Make no further cuts. This budget doesn't already work. Do the right thing and everything in your power with the resources you have to stop what's happening to this system. The method is simple. You have to prove that you care about public education in Lakewood. 1999. It's not surprising for us. For years here in Lakewood, we have learned to do more with less. Our school budget has been reduced each of the last 4 years. But we who work in Lakewood, we see the other end of the equation. The impact of years of budget cuts on class size, school programs, services, and instructional resources we use to teach the children. 2003. The broader issue here is the survival of the Lakewood Public Schools, as well as a community where people will want to work and live, but most of all, where they may educate their children. Tonight, each one of you, by your vote, have the power to make that happen or not. Ask yourself this question: what is my purpose as a member of the Board of Education? Is it to be fiscally responsible and to provide the best possible education for our students? Or is it to champion the taxpayer? And more recently, 2011, a needs assessment study conducted in 2008 pointed to the biggest issues our district faces. A large non-English speaking student population. Well, I can tell you after 4 nights of kindergarten registration and over 200 students in those 4 nights, 90% are English language learners coming to our district. large class sizes, significant resources devoted to courtesy busing, special education, morale of the staff, cutting resources for students. Students cannot succeed and schools cannot be successful without community support. Please show that you care. They've rejected budgets that reduce funding and have fought to take more away from Lakewood Public Schools students. So I liked Mrs. Winter's comment about rebuilding season. I feel like the school system's in a rebuilding season after listening to the presentations and knowing what our teachers have been going through. It took years of this backward slide to get to where we were. And now, looking at the results, it looks like we're moving forward and getting to a place where we need to be. So I am imploring you to make no cuts to this school budget that will affect the students, the staff in this Lakewood Public School system. We took a freeze on our salary during negotiations. We paid to Tier 3, I believe it is, Mr. Diambola, in our health benefits. We listened to the students tonight talk about their buses that they need to get back and forth to clubs. I urge you, you took an oath to work for the people who are here tonight, and we're here, the students, the staff, and the community of Lakewood. And I'd like to leave you with one last thought. A politician looks to the next election, but a statesman looks to the next generation. Let's look to the next generation of Lakewood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Simpson.
Thank you, Board of Education. I'm happy to be here tonight. I'm Reverend Simpson. What I want to talk about tonight, I want to talk about tonight that some of the issues that are going on in the schools as far as the violence and the drug situation that is going on. And the clergy, us committee peoples have day after day been involved in trying to help solve some of these problems with the drugs situation. And we don't like to use this word with the gang situation, but the gang situation and the drug situation is really, really bad in this town and in this city. And being a pastor, we're gonna have to do something about this drug situation and violence that's occurring in the school, and it's not something that we can just put under the rug. And we have, I worked in the Lakewood school system some years ago, and at that time we had security officers and stuff that was from the Lakewood community who knew the kids. We all knew each other, and we were able to find out who was doing what and who was doing what over the weekends and stuff like that. Then the system got changed, and we, outsourced the security staff, and we brought in people that did not know the kids, did not know any of the parents, and situations has gone just down the hill and down the hill. When I was at the Lakewood High School working here, we had Comess. He worked in the school system and with the kids that had drug problems and violent problems and stuff like that, and we were able to, solve some of the problems before they got back to school and before they got on campus, and it's just really out of hand now. And I just want to say something. I'm a pastor, and this situation has to be fixed. We cannot just push this situation under the rug. This is a situation that has to be fixed. And my suggestion is that we have Comess. Is Comess here tonight? Where's Comess? We have Comess. I know Comess. I know Jerome Robinson. They have degrees that know how to work with kids, with gangs, with violence, with drugs and stuff like that. And I am just suggesting that if the board would consider putting these two young men somewhere in the school system on a daily basis to help deal with these problems. I know we have the policemen in the schools, but these kids are not going to say anything that the policeman is going to be able to find out where the problems are. To the kids, the policeman is the big bad wolf, so they're not going to talk to the policeman. So my suggestion is that we could solve a lot of this violence in school and drug situation if we would put these someone in these schools like Comess and Brother Jerome, who has these degrees, that is able to talk to these kids, deal with these kids, and find out what's happening. And I say this right here, I am a pastor, and if we don't take care of this problem now, it goes higher and higher. And being a pastor, you wind up having, after a while, this problem grows and grows and grows, and we don't take care of it while it's young, it grows, and the next thing, the violence gets so bad, we have the shooting, we have the killing, and then it wind up, we have to do the funerals. And when the funerals is done, that situation is not over. You got one child going to jail, you got another child in the grave, and then you still got all of these people behind that's hurting. So my suggestion is tonight to the board, we met at the middle school and talked with the principal there. The schools need help, and we as the clergy can help, provide help, but we need some men of the community to be put in the school system to help with this problem that can no longer be swept under the rug. So God bless you. I hope the board will think about putting these two men. They have all of the qualifications, the credentials that they need to be somewhere in the school system on a daily basis to help us out with this situation. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is respond because I believe we do have somebody in that position.
Thank you, Pastor, but we do have Jerome Robinson in the schools working with the kids. He currently does help us out at the middle school. Jerome Robinson, that's who you're speaking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, he is currently in the schools with us, working with several of our students. So thank you for confirming with us that we do have the right gentleman.
Thank you
He
very
is. Thank you.
much. I don't screw your last name up. That looks like Frazier. I can't. First name Sylvia.
I'm Sylvia Frazier's brother, Sylvester, be nice sight. I'm here,
Please come up if you want to speak. And
Did you sign it up, sir?
no, I didn't sign in, but I do have something to say.
can we first, there's just a board policy that anybody who didn't sign, if you could wait till people will sign, that's
Oh,
one thing.
no problem.
And then, thank you.
Thank you, God bless.
No, just a procedure. Next person, please.
Styles.
That's me. Saying it wrong.
There you go, you're up. You're next.
Please say your name. Please say your name and address.
For the record, my name is Sylvester B. Nice Sights. I got involved because I used to be a local artist here in Lakewood. I was security for your basketball team, Tim, at one point in time. And I'm involved because, just like the pastor said, nobody's gonna do anything about this gang stuff. You see how I'm dressed? I'm an actor because I'm an artist. But the kids talk to me. What they tell me disturbs me because this isn't only happening in Lakewood. I was in Indianapolis. The kid was killed and doing worse things here. And it's spreading down here. So I got dressed like this because the kids will talk to me. Now, Commish, he's been doing this thing for a long time. George Lindsay, I just went to a fair hearing with him today at the Lakewood, upstairs from the Lakewood Police Department. The only help they have for him is to put him in Dover's Woods with the mentally incapable. He's the brother that did paperwork for me that I circulated to start doing what I was doing. I made a petition. It goes back to '89, and I'm gonna read this petition to you. And believe me, it's everything relevant to what's happening to the school. This petition is for we the people against the treatment to the homeless and its outcome. Rejection from the Board of Social Services, which leads to homelessness and police harassment. Now, this was happening to me. I was talking about myself. I lost my kids and my family. Right now, I look at Lakewood, and Lakewood isn't producing anything for anybody poor. But I see it producing. My boss was Mr. Rambos, a Jewish man. I love him to death. Works hard for him. But when I see this, I'm like, I just got back from Indianapolis. I was been here 5 days. I'm just hearing a guy died in Tent City. That he had an operation invested, the board can do is send him to Tent City. So, you know, in Indianapolis, I'm going to tell you what I did. I opened a lawsuit for $5 million. And I'm back to cash it. On some real. Because they beat me, the cop beat me. They gave me vitiligo. You see this white? I wasn't born like this. I'm an artist. I couldn't read right. Let me show you something. I'm going to read this to you in math. 2, 15, 1, 18, 4, board, 15, 4, of, 5, 4, 21, 3, 1, 2, 9, 15, 14. Board of Education. And I didn't learn that from y'all. I learned that from jail. But does our kids gotta go to jail to get educated? Do I really have to dress like a gangster when I'm just an artist? Y'all gotta be sleep on the tracks. But this is what's gonna happen to our kids. Look around everybody's building. I was born here. And Paul killed me. All they did is shackle me and rape me in the hospital. So I ask you just like this, I didn't come back for no reason. This man is giving his heart. The pastor is giving his heart. You can't put in somebody for him? Well, I'm going to take that lawsuit, and I'm telling you I'm going to take it. And I'll get some help from somebody. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Willis, number 6.
Sheena Williams? Somebody Williams?
No. Roxanne Martin?
Hello, Roxanne Martin, Lakewood, 26 Central Drive. This ought to be interesting for a lot of your board members. There was an article written in the newspaper on January 1st about texting at a public meeting. It actually is a law. Once the meeting starts, all of a sudden, the members of the public body should be able to hear. Anyone by the audience should be able to hear every conversation that y'all have. There should be no sidebar, no conversations, no passing notes, no whispering. Everybody in this audience should hear everything you have to say. If you're texting, we have a right to see what's on that phone. There is an act in the law that says this.
Is that true?
Yes.
Attorney?
Can you let her finish before we interrupt?
Oh, you can interrupt.
No, I'm saying, just finish, please. With
You're allowed to look through someone else's file.
Text messages can be subpoenaed in the court cases under. Okay, it's saying, Texas can be subpoenaed in court. So if anybody out here wanted to say at the board meetings that you all are texting, being rude or whatever, they can take you all to court and you have to proceed and show everyone what you're writing. And I'm sure it's not about what you're saying up here. Let's see what else it says here. Also, it is illegal for members to whisper or pass notes after the meeting starts. If they're telling the audience, if you see these people up here doing this, stand up, be respectful and say, you're out of line. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be giving us the same courtesy that we give you. That means shut your phones off. Don't pass notes. Give us the respect. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pastor Wilson. posted it?
It was here before.
No, he left. No, he left.
Anthony,
That's my part.
how you pronounce his last name?
Material.
Materi, Anthony
Yeah, but
Materi.
he's not here, he has to go to a meeting. I'll run next door.
And are you next? What's your name?
Ernesto.
Ernesto?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, Ernesto, thank you.
How you doing?
Let's say your name and address.
Ernesto Ordenado, New Jersey Classic Soccer Club. Okay, now that we're talking about violence, my group, what we do is we play soccer. I was a non-profit organization, and I've been playing in the schools for many years, and I've presented my documentation so many times. Sean Lerner, my lawyer, prepared my non-profit organization paperwork, okay? This is some of the, judge. I presented so many paperworks to the Board of Education. They've been rejected many times. I got suspended on March 1st. My group, we play soccer. All we do is promote exercise. I work for Retro Fitness. I work 40 hours in Howard, New Jersey. That's what we do, try to promote sports. And for many years, I got the permits, pulled for some good reasons. Now we got the permits pulled, and they sent me a bill, actually 4 invoices. We're a nonprofit organization. All we charge is the referee fees so we can run the program. So now we get a $2,000 bill from, actually, I never got the bill. I went to One Cash and got the invoice, got the surprise, and my permits have been pulled. So all we do is promote sports, and all the violence that we're talking about, what's going on. It's just, I don't understand it. We all want to take care of it. If, I'm a nonprofit organization. You guys, on the policy, for last year, asked for a deposit of $500. Spoke to a few people here. And now they're charging a ridiculous amount of money just to use our public schools.
Through the chair,
Mr. Damola, do you have any information?
we do have a policy that all groups that do not servicing the children and youth that have to pay a fee. We had a person that was on staff beginning of the year and last year who was not collecting these fees. And we just notified the gentleman that he owed us the fees.
What are the fees, about $25
I don't know.
per session?
$2,000 I got, fees. $1,000 is the back fees.
These are the back fees.
This is not for 1 month.
Okay.
Through the chair? Through the chair?
A nonprofit organization is not supposed to pay.
Do you have the nonprofit paperwork on record?
Yes, I do.
Through the chair?
Mr. Sean Lerner prepared.
I believe there's an issue with the nonprofit paperwork.
Yeah, they keep saying, they're asking me for so many documents. I presented, I went to the New Jersey Treasury Department, and I kept asking, you know what, if you're asking everybody, like you're asking my organization,
Yes, we do.
show me, okay, show me the paperwork that you need, because I have my certificate of incorporation, I have my IRS paperwork, my 501c, I have my up-to-date annual reports, and they keep saying,
There's an issue with, I believe there's an issue that came back with the 501c form. Is that correct, Mr. Campbell?
What's that?
Wasn't there an issue that came back with the 501c form?
Yeah, the report to Internal Revenue Service did an investigation on it. We did not file for the 501c application. There is a.
We have to look into it, ma'am.
There's a report coming from the IRS confirming this as well.
Right, so there is an issue with your paperwork that you have to look into further.
Through the chair?
we've done it so many times, and I have it actually right here. And then it's like, what I've been told is, it's, that they don't believe me. And that's just, the bottom line. So, even, if that was, the case, if they wanted to pay for it, they should, work something out that I can make the payments and continue with the program.
Ernesto, it's not that we don't believe you, the paperwork is coming back incorrect.
And actually, I have it right here, and then, the gentleman right there, he told me, listen, you need the annual report, and I told him the other day when I spoke to him, and I said, listen, I'm gonna bring it, I missed work, I went to get it, I have it right here, I gave it to Luann Cash, and it's been a week and a half, and nobody got back.
But the issue is not with us, the issue is with the IRS.
No, that's what he's saying, that the issues with the IRS. I got the documents, to prove it.
Excuse me, Mr. Ernesto, is it possible after the meeting that you can talk to Ms. Winters? Because we have to go on, the 4 minutes actually, if you can say.
Absolutely, but, the other issue is, about, the payments. Then, they just send, and then, many invoices, and I don't see it in the policy. The payment's not even listed.
Can we talk about this after the meeting, so we can continue? Thank you, I appreciate it.
$15,000 in taxes.
Thank you.
Through the chair. Yes, no.
Through the chair. The Board of Education did adopt the policy back in September 2012.
Please, excuse me.
The Board of Education did adopt the policy in September of 2012, which is a buildings use policy. On that policy, it is categorized into 3 classes, Class A, B, and C. Now, even if their nonprofit status is resolved, you would still be in Class B. Now, Class B does have a charge, both for a per-day use as well as an hourly custodial fee. And that charge is across the board to everybody. So,
security fee as well for Class B.
whatever the amount is a policy that's across the board. And I will tell you that if you have an issue, you're not the only one. I'm currently dealing with 5 other groups who have been banned from our facilities for non-payment. So it's not being, you're not being targeted specifically, but, well, obviously payment is the first thing that needs to be worked out, and that's part of our policy. So all I want to comment is that whatever issues you may have as far as your 501c3, but let not that be the main issue. There is still a charge whether you're Class B or Class C.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Rush, next person. Dr. Rush. Everybody pays, man. Everybody pays.
Actually, I've heard a lot of acting.
But it would be nice to have that in writing before she has to have that to worry.
It's writing and it's on our website. Please.
And before
I did, I believe I.
Okay, go ahead.
Where are my taxes going then?
I'm echoing what Joel said. I know there were many not-for-profits that came with complaints, talking about why they're being banned and being sent bills. You're not the only one. I know for sure of at least.
I have received emails, so that's accurate. There are other nonprofits who are going through the same process.
The sad thing about it is, why aren't they getting notified ahead of time?
Yeah, it's on the side, it's on the website.
Through the chair.
Public information.
Through the
I don't
chair.
deal with
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes, Tracy.
Through the chair. Every,
Public information in the office too.
excuse me, sir. Every time an organization comes in to use one of our buildings, they're giving the guidelines, the requirements, what they must fulfill in order to use the building. And it's also.
It is on our website, actually.
The website. If these buildings are used after a certain time and maintenance can't come in, we have to pay maintenance to come in and clean these buildings. So that's a charge that we tack on to the individual who's using the building. Now, when they don't pay us, we still have to pay the custodian that cleaned the building and who stayed here after hours in order to make sure that the building was ready for the next day. Those are things we still have to pay for. So we tack those on to the people that use the building. So if they're not paying, that's just, it's just a cruise over a certain amount of time. So that's why there's not.
Who's the next person?
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public? Dr. Rush?
Mr. Enoch? Mr. Enoch?
Enoch?
Hold on, Dr. Rush.
Dr. Rush, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yes, you are.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Good evening.
Yes,
It's becoming a long night. And, I know that you guys have other business to do.
Can you just state your name and address, please?
Fred Rush, 2023
Thank you.
Madison Avenue. I know that you guys have other business to do. But I think that the pattern is starting again, where you go in executive session and you leave us out here for 30, 35, 40 minutes. I hope you guys will be a little bit more conscious of that and do what you need, even if it means you guys coming in, but you should meet the public at the time that you say you're gonna be.
You're absolutely right, and I apologize for that. I think we discussed this in the executive session to allow more time for the internal discussions and maybe schedule our meeting early, but you're right.
Especially with the length of the next
Yes.
meeting. The other thing is, we don't want to be antagonistic to the board. What we want to do is support your efforts and take care of our kids. All our concerns are raising our kids. And right now, we have an issue, like Pastor Simpson said, in our schools with violence. That's why he was speaking so passionately about addressing that issue. So I hope you show some more consideration, and Ms. Winters, you know about it. But maybe everybody is not aware of it. But we do have some major league problems, and it's our job because they're our kids, and that's why you'll always see us out here defending the rights of our children. Because our children, like any other kids, all we want is a good education for them. So, make sure that you address the issues that Reverend Simpson has been brought up, Ms. Winters. If you can, we'd appreciate it. And we'll be partners with you in trying to alleviate some of these issues that we have. But you can't do it alone, we can't do it alone. But with us working together, we'll do what we can. But I tell you, it does get frustrating when it looks like it's one-sided. Now, a lot of times I won't say anything negative because somebody says, you don't have anything good to say, then don't say anything.
Just tell the truth, that's all.
So,
That was Lee's mother.
so I'll hold those comments, but I did hear somebody say tell the truth. But I won't go into it further because you guys know what our concerns are. Dr. Rush is going to speak on it even more so. And he's an educator, a former superintendent. So he knows some of the issues that you guys go through. But, so I did say that, what you were going to say, I would touch base on it. And the only other thing I'll say is about the announcement that you made with the, about the anti-bullying program and with Lakewood Schools, your name, Omega 13, some other SAFE and some other groups. We want to make sure that it's on Sunday at 3 o'clock at the Lakewood Middle School, but it's something that's also sponsored by the Board of Ed. So if you get an opportunity to come at 3 o'clock, I think you made that announcement, someone did.
I did.
We'd like to see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Knox?
Good evening, second time here in 2 months.
Name and address, please.
Enoch, El Chancellor, Lakewood, New Jersey. I know from last time we spoke to Britt, general idea what happened with my son. 5 months until we got some type of commitment to a placement. Now, unfortunately, I waited 4 weeks for the contract. I got the contract Friday, I opened it up, I didn't open it up, I opened it up on Monday, yesterday. And unfortunately, the contract, I don't know what took 4 weeks to write it to a page and a half contract. But in the contract, it says, so far I do not have an IEP with a placement, number one, as far as I understand. Number two, the contract, where we placed them because we have no other choice. I was looking at it at the time when I placed them in May, and in September when I came in for the IEP, the only thing I asked for was, let's work something out quickly so we can get something done. Nothing happened. So now in February, when I finally came to the board meeting, something happened, then it took 4 weeks to get a piece of paper that says, one of the contract conditions is that I shouldn't put my son back into the school that he's in, and I should sign off on that. I don't know if that's legal, but assuming that's legal, assuming it's legal to say that I can relinquish my right to place him where he is right now. There's no IEP. The IEP is not sufficient. If anyone knows my son, and some of you do know my son, his speech is awful. There's no speech, or almost minimal speech. There's no PT, or minimal PT. The IEP is insufficient. The placement there is no placement. And now you're trying to sign off on the placement to the meeting. Negotiation is between two parties. If you're trying to ram this down my throat, I have no choice. We spoke about this last time. I have no choice, but I have to go to the next step. I don't want to go to the next step unless I have to. I would like to know if there's some way we can resolve this tomorrow, not next week, not in 3 weeks, not in 4 weeks like this last time. We're 6 months into a 10-month school year, and you're telling me in 4 months he has no placement? One, dealing with a special child, you can speak to the cops in the street that meet him, then they end the summer. They had a very interesting time. He's a strange kid. I don't have to tell you. We could speak to the principals that have him in school. We had shadows with him. We weren't paid by the board of ed. I tried my hardest. I'm squeezing blood out of a dry bone now. Now, if you want to do it further, I have no problems. We'll go to the next step. I don't want to go there. I'm trying. That's why I went to the last meeting. I tried it. But if 4 weeks after I get after we come, and 4 weeks after the commitment, I have to sign away that I'm not going to place him in the place that he's been successful finally. Well, whatever you want to do. I'm telling you now. You know, remember in Jackson a few years ago with the tiger lady? Once the tiger's out of the cage, you can't put it back in. That's right. I'm saying, I'm not trying to, I don't want to pressure. I cannot get this resolved, but if it's not being resolved, we can grant down I have no problems. We're going to.
Mr. We cannot discuss the specifics of each child. You have a right to discuss in public. We are not allowed to. I will ask the attorney to make a comment.
I don't want comments, I just want to comment.
I'm happy to speak to you after the meeting. This is the first I'm hearing if there was any concerns with the agreement that you,
I got the agreement Friday. Of course it's first.
I'm happy to speak to you after the meeting. It was my understanding that you had come to terms with the Director of Special Services of the school in terms of...
That part wasn't.
Mr. Nichol cannot discuss the details in public. So there's the only venue right now, the only venue right now is to speak after the meeting with the attorney.
I have no problems. I have a phone number. Leave me my phone number. And if it's that next day, maybe you can work.
Through the chair.
That's fine.
Through the chair. Isaac.
Thank you so much.
Isaac.
Yes.
The timing that Mr. Enoch is explaining, I've never met Mr. Enoch before, and I don't know the case in particular, but it is highly disturbing that a child with special needs has to wait such a prolonged period of time to have any sort of correspondence. So whoever's responsible for this, please see that the timing is a little bit shorter because it's very painful and could relate to your situation. Thank you. That concludes the public session.
Is there anybody else? Okay. Let's move on to the next reports, recommendation of business administrator report, secretary.
We have some changes to the agenda. I need a motion. The changes are on page 5. Remove item number 6. On page 6, item I, it's going to be replaced with the additions in the back of the agenda. Page 25, the rewind at GCU, the amount changed from $365.75 to $731.50. That's page 25. On page 32, remove items K, 1 and 2. Page 32, items K, 1 and 2, remove them. On the addition, I'm sorry. Yeah, we renumber the remainder, 3 and 4, we 1 and 2. On the addition, in the back of your agendas, you'll see there's an addition page. There's 2 pages actually. On page 1 of the additions, that item 8 will replace item I on page 6. The second paragraph where it says the submission of the tentative budget includes a bank cap in the amount of $1185000. That amount, $1185000, has been changed on the additions in the back. There's 2 pages in the back of your agenda. Has everybody had the additions?
No. When we came back in here, they were done. We don't have those.
We don't have those.
It's important, the additions are very important. item 8I, the paragraph underneath the budget, you'll see the cap amount 1185000. That has been changed to 1872480, and I'll explain that later. On the back of the agenda, the sheet that you just received, the addition. On that, right on the first page here, on top, you see where it says 8.1. You see the budget there?
Yes.
Okay. Underneath, there's a paragraph that says, I think Mr. Reed's going to have a hard time.
I got it.
Got it. That 1185000 has been changed to 1872480. And the additions on that page will be added to the agenda. The additions, the one that you just received. The pages. One page, yeah, I have 2 pages. It's 1 page over there. Right. Well, I have 2 pages of back to front.
Well, not quite, just one side.
You have a second page, Mr. Short?
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about.
On the first page, you should have the budget.
He's texting. Take his phone away if you can't control him.
Board members not to use devices unless it's an emergency.
You know how they work, he just moved. I guess he has to slow
Comment, anyways. Please no comment.
Okay, those additions, these are the additions to the agenda. I need a motion to accept them.
Accept them into the agenda. Move it.
Second?
Second.
Check.
All in favor?
Yes, John. Mr. Allen?
Yeah, no, when you're referencing page 6, letter I, there's a grid over there with similar information to the one that's in the back page.
Right, that's replaced with the addition.
Right.
That's going to be page 5, item 6.
Yes. Are we, Mr. Locken, are we going to do the transportation policy amendments this evening? Because I have.
Well, we took one out, we tabled one. There are some that are other kind, wasn't really explain what those are.
Are we doing the one on the time on buses?
No, that's one table.
So I'm going to read the other ones. Let me just confirm with the transportation chair for once.
Please do.
Mr. President, I'm going to read it. This is resolved that Board of Education Policy 8600 was amended to read regarding inclement weather days that result in the full-day closure of public schools. The Board of Education acknowledges that in the future, when weather-related conditions improve significantly by 12 noon, regular afternoon transportation will be provided to the non-public schools that had children delivered in the morning by parents or alternate transportation methods. This will be subject to consultation with the board attorney, the Lakewood Police Department, various road departments, and final approval of the Lakewood Superintendent of Schools. That's the first point. The second point is that on inclement weather days that the superintendent calls for a 90-minute delayed opening, the transportation department will notify all bus contractors that morning transportation for the non-public schools will be suspended, as these schools will opt for a normal schedule. This will be subject to each school certifying that they have the approval of their parents for this suspension of mandated services, and that alternate transportation will be provided to these students by the school or parent at no cost to the Board of Education. It is also subject to review of the board attorney and approval of the superintendent. And then the final point is that the Board of Education, in recognition of the difficulty that parents have during certain times when they must be away from their home, will once again have the option of requesting that the school administrator complete an alternate pickup or drop-off boarding pass on the prescribed Board of Education form, subject to the discretion of the building administrator as certified by his or her signature on the prescribed form. This policy is also subject to the board attorney's review and approval by the superintendent. And on the third point, I had drafted a proposed policy, which we can certainly vote on at a separate meeting.
Through the chair.
And those are the proposed amendments to the policy.
Through the chair. Hello?
Yes. Mr. Vincent.
The policy about offering half-day busing. And is there, is that the bus company that pays for a full day or half a day?
Mr. Rosenblatt, can you address that, please?
I was told that as of now, there is no way to, it's not in their contract that would force them to, we cannot force them to get busing on a half day and not pay them for the full day. In essence, they would get paid for the full day. I had recommended that future bids should have that in the contract bids, that they get paid for a half day. And I'm waiting on a response on that. That should be for any bids for the future, should have that provision that they only get paid on the half day if we run such a route.
Can we amend this policy to include